You ready for week 8? Well, you better be, because we are about to shove all of that information to wherever you are receptive for it. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and this country is stuffed. This country is stuffed. Best country in the world, though. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Start the season with a big return. With FanDuel, get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we're available on all platforms. Check out Locked On Daily as well, LockedOnDaily.com. That is where you can find a newsletter for your favorite team. Not a newsletter, the best newsletter. All of the best information about your favorite team at LockedOnDaily.com. This is where we are, and I know there is going to be a lot of confusion. I know that because people are already asking me this. There are some fantasy leagues where they get ran, and I'm like, what's actually going on in that league? Because I'll have people ask me a question now. Hey, what should I do for this week in the schedule? You decided it before you draft, maybe, but that's okay. If everyone's on board with you making last-second changes, that's okay. What you should have done, and what you should do, is make the week starting on Monday, week 8, run for 14 days. That's what that matchup should be. It should run from Monday through to 2 Sundays after this. That is what should have been done. Whether you can still do that or not, I don't know. That is up to you and your individual league and all of that sort of stuff. But the matchup should run from the 9th of December through to the 22nd of December. And that would mean that 26 teams in that period play 4 games and 4 teams play 5 games. A very even and balanced schedule. If you are playing on Yahoo, you don't really have that choice because, why would they ever give you flexibility? And they decided that you can run the matchup combining the 2nd of December through to the 15th of December, which is a horrible way to run things because that means that the week after that is going to be terrible as well. But that's okay. What we are here to do, and remember, from here on out, when I'm talking weeks, I'm talking calendar weeks because every site is going to be different. I don't believe that ESPN has any combinations at all going on. So in ESPN League, for this week 8 here, this is all you got, 7 days. I think on Fantrack's default, it is the same. You have got just the 1 7-day period. If you are in the leagues that I run, the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, we run from the 9th to the 22nd. If you're on Yahoo, this week is part of last week. That is where it's all very weird. So we are just going to call this week 8, starting December the 9th, finishing on December the 15th. That's what we're going to... And I almost feel like I made a mistake on one of the slides coming up. I hope I didn't. But anyway, we'll talk about that. I want you guys to have all of the information and the correct information about what you need for this week. Because this is the NBA Cup knockout weeks. It's the finals. The championship game is actually the week after. But this is the championship week. And you need to understand what is actually going on during this week. Yes, we need to understand what's going on. So let's take a look at the actual schedule. It's light. There's absolutely no debate in that. So we go to Monday. There's 1 game on. And this is just a rogue random game. I don't know why there's 1 game on Monday. It's got nothing to do with the NBA Cup. There's just 1 game on. That's the Knicks and the Raptors. Don't know why. Tuesday and Wednesday are both NBA Cup days. There are 2 games on Tuesday for quarterfinals. There are 2 games on Wednesday for quarterfinals. Thursday is just another random day with only 3 games on. And I think at the beginning of the season, before all of this sort of played out, we really had any idea when they'd reschedule the games, or when they'd add the new games in, we thought it might be a real beneficial thing to target the teams that you think would get through to the NBA Cup knockout rounds, because that would mean they play on low volume days. But I'll give you a spoiler alert, every day is a low volume day. It doesn't actually matter. It means nothing for this week. Every single day is a streamable day. It doesn't matter if you qualified or not. Now, last year, it was a little bit different. We would have like 2 games, 10 games, 11 games. It was very different. It is not the same. They have changed it up slightly. So we go 1 game Monday, 2 games Tuesday, 2 games Wednesday, 3 games Thursday, 8 games Friday, which is the busiest day of the entire week. But we know an 8-game Friday is eminently, entirely streamable. You're not stopped from doing anything on that day. Saturday, there are 2 games on. They are the 2 NBA Cup semifinals. And yes, they do count. So the winners of the games on Tuesday and the games on Wednesday will play on Saturday against each other. That's what happens on Saturday. 2 games. We don't know who they are, but we know the pool of teams where it comes from. Sunday's where it gets a little bit interesting. Not that it matters massively for us here, but there could be 7 games on, or there could be 6 games on. And why is that, Josh? Well, I don't know. Well, I do know why, but I don't know why. There could be 6 or 7 games on Sunday. The situation in which there are 6 games on Sunday is as follows. The Knicks need to lose to the Hawks, and the Bucks need to lose to the Magic. So if those 2 things happen, we have 6 games on Sunday, and the Knicks and Bucks make-up game happens on Monday, the week after. If Atlanta loses or Orlando loses on, I think their games are on Wednesday. Yeah, they're on Wednesday. If they lose and the Knicks or Bucks win, then we've got 7 games Sunday. So the losers on Tuesday and the losers on Wednesday will have their games rescheduled for Sunday. Except if it's both the Knicks and the Bucks losing. And yeah, we got that part of it. So while you don't know exactly who's playing on the Sunday, you do know which teams it could be. Atlanta, Orlando, the Knicks, the Bucks, the Warriors, the Rockets, the Thunder, or the Mavericks. And I say all of that, but it doesn't actually matter because you don't need to prioritize NBA Cup teams. There are no low or high volume. Well, there are low volume days. Every day is a low volume day. There are no high volume days. There are no days to avoid streaming. There's nothing like that. It is a very, very weird week. And then the week after that, on the just so you're aware what happens on that Monday the 16th, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You've got 6 games on the Monday, or maybe 7 if one of them is the Knicks and the Bucks, which is possible if they lose the quarterfinal. And then Tuesday you've got 0, and Wednesday you've got 0. That's what happens the week after that. So I hope that's not confusing, but this is what we've got this week. Monday 1 game, Tuesday 2 games, Wednesday 2 games, Thursday 3 games. Friday 8 games, Saturday 2 games, Sunday either 6 or 7 games, most likely 7. Okay? So we have got, in terms of the games that teams play, theoretically, we could have a team with 3 games this week. We could. But we might not. It's the Knicks. Because the Knicks definitely play on Monday, and they definitely play on Wednesday. They might play on Saturday if they win on Wednesday. They might play on Sunday if they lose on Wednesday, but also if Milwaukee wins. But if Milwaukee loses and New York loses, then the Knicks are a 2-game team as well. I know that is going to sound confusing, but I will put this blanket statement out there. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The likelihood of New York playing 3 games is the more likely outcome because it requires 2 of 3 different outcomes to come true. Or it doesn't require. There are two pathways for the Knicks to play 3 games. They win, or if they lose, Milwaukee wins. That's how they play 3 games. The Knicks. So there is 3 different scenarios, and in 2 of them, the Knicks play 3 games. And in one of those scenarios, the Knicks play 2 games. There are 18 teams currently considered to be playing 2 games. There are 18 teams playing 2 games. Now, of course, that number could be different. Actually, you know what? There can't be. There's definitely going to be 18 teams playing 2 games this week. Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Golden State, Houston, Indiana, the Lakers, Memphis, Milwaukee, maybe. Milwaukee's either got 2 games or 1 game. Minnesota, New Orleans, New York, maybe. They might play 3 games, they might play 2. Then there's Oklahoma City, Orlando, Phoenix, Portland, San Antonio, Toronto, and Washington. And then there are 11 teams, maybe 12, playing one game. Brooklyn, Charlotte, Chicago, Cleveland, Denver, Detroit, the Clippers, Miami, Milwaukee, maybe. Now, Milwaukee only plays one game if they and New York both lose. Philadelphia, Sacramento, Utah. So you go one game week, that's terrible, and I agree it is. Except in a week like this where basically everybody's playing two games, it's not as big of a deal. This is why if you are playing on CBS or you're playing on Fantrax Default or you're playing on ESPN, this week stinks. 2 games in 1 game stinks. There's like 25 games total this week. So you're going to have like nothing going on. There's no games on. So a 1 game week is bad, but it's not as bad as it could be if other teams were playing a lot more, and they aren't. We're going to come back and go through more of this schedule stuff. And this is where I got it wrong, because look on that screen, it says December the 8th. No, December the 8th is today. That's December 9th. I got my days wrong. So December 9th through December 15th is next week. Today's episode, right here, is brought to you by Mint Mobile, or, as you might say, Mint Mobile. Big wireless providers. Well, you know what they do. They're always going to try and trick you with something. When you get there, you get to the store, you get your deal, and then you get your first month bill, and somehow, like that price that you thought you were paying, it's way bigger. Why? Why was that? Mint Mobile, don't have to worry about that. They will not get you with those gotchas. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, well, that is exactly what they mean, and it is exactly what you get. Say goodbye to all of those overpriced wireless plans and their jaw-dropping monthly bills and all those weird and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile rescues you with a premium wireless plan starting at $15 a month. All of those plans come with high-speed data. You get unlimited talk and text, and it is on the nation's largest 5G network. Get rid of all of those overpriced wireless. In fact, jack them. Get them out of here. The overpriced wireless plans with Mint Mobile's deals and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. That is mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower, over 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for details. All right, so I am going to bang on about this, so I do apologize, but I hope that you understand what we got with that schedule. You have got nearly every team, so that's not true, the majority of teams playing 2 games. The likely situation is 3 games for the Knicks, 18 teams playing 2, and 11 teams playing 1. That could easily turn into 19 teams playing 2, and 18 teams playing 2, and 12 teams playing 1. So we could either go 1, 18, 11, or we could do 18, 12. They're the 2 different ways that this plays out this week. That is all. There is no other variance in any of this stuff. And it does not matter if you are looking at an NBA Cup team that is in the knockout round or not. It does not matter. Every day is streamable. There is no benefit for targeting those teams unless you think, wow, that's great because, well, actually, it might be worse because you're streaming guys on those NBA Cup teams. You would think that the coaches pull tighter rotations and more minutes to the starters, so the fringe bench guys don't play as much at all. You might see fewer minutes from Bud Hield. You might see John Kuminga, alleged new starter, play fewer minutes. Podziemski, fewer minutes. Najee Marshall, if he's available, fewer minutes. Cason Wallace, fewer minutes. It depends if they tighten the rotations on those teams that have made it through. Goga Badadze, Mo Wagner, Mr. Black, any of those guys might see fewer minutes if they tighten the rotations for the teams that have made it that far. Let's get in now and just have a quick look at the quality game scenario. And this is where we normally look at quality games. We'd look at Stream Zone and all that sort of stuff. But again, every single day is a quality game day. There is no streaming plan. There's nothing. You've got, depending on your league, this is where everything becomes incredibly variable. I don't know what your weekly... If you're on Yahoo, you don't get a reset of ads. Remember that part of it as well. If you are playing on Yahoo, your ads do not reset. They don't reset. We talked about this last week. They don't reset. If you're on ESPN, you've got your like some ESPN leagues standardized to 7 ads. So just add someone in every day. There is no streaming advantage plan this week. Nothing. None. There's no stream zone. There's nothing. There's nothing that happens. You cannot gain any advantage this week. You cannot do it. There are no scheduled groupings or nothing. it can't be done. Unless you're some sort of wizard that I've missed something. And that is, you know what? Entirely possible. There's nothing you can do extra. You just add a player if you think it's good for you. Or you like the player, or you think you're going to get something good. That is what you do. All right? That is how you approach this week. You can't get bulk. The bulky stuff you can get, maybe, is the Knicks Monday, Wednesday. Like, that's it. I think that might be actually the only situation for the week where there's a team that gets 2 games in 3 nights. That's not true, actually, because at the end of the week, you got the Friday, some Friday-Sunday combos. So maybe that's what you look at, is at the end of the week, you can get 2 games Friday-Sunday with 1 ad. That's literally the only thing, and then you're sacrificing the games on Saturday. That's it. There's literally nothing more. And I know, and I'm not saying this because I'm being like a hater with any of this stuff. Not like at all. It's more about just letting you know what the schedule's like. I don't actually have that much of a problem with, I don't think the NBA Cup is useful. I think it's actually fun. I like the courts. I like the idea of the NBA Cup. I used to hate it before it came out, and I've actually been really interested in it. I actually don't think it's as bad for fantasy as what some people do. I think it's totally okay. It's okay as long as we plan around it, and I believe that I planned around it okay in Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, where I've got a 2-week matchup that gives you 5 games or 4 games for teams, and I think that's totally good. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. It's basically the exact same situation as the All-Star break, the way that I've set that up. I think that is pretty good. I think it's okay to have some days where our volume is dropped a little bit, and we get some time for players who are injured to get healthier. We get some more time to analyze our teams, to maybe make trades. You've got more, just a little breather I think it is okay. And last season, I believe we had 3 days with 0 games on. This season, we have 2. So that's better as well. That's better. This random weird Monday here is a little strange, but that's okay. Let's take a look at some scheduling quirks. The whole schedule is a quirk this week for week 8. It's all quirky. Every team that plays 1 game during the week doesn't play they're off on the weekend. That is the simple fact of that. Every 1-game team is off on the weekend. And Toronto plays Monday in that weird standalone snaggletooth game. Monday, New York, Toronto on Monday, and then Toronto plays on Thursday, and then they're off for the weekend. But every 1-game team is off on the weekend. There are 16 teams that do not play their first game until Friday. Remember, because we've got 1 game, 2 games, 2 games, 3 games. That's 8 games total across the first 4 days of the week. It is incredibly light, and I will be still doing a lot of shows, don't worry. And there'll be just some different flavors of shows in there as well. So, yeah, tell me what you think of this idea. I'm going to be using this time frame where there's fewer games. I'm going to be doing some stuff like a quarter poll review of teams where we're incorporating some advanced stats, which players are looking good, which players are underperforming. How do the advanced stats then say, oh, that guy's actually doing worse or better than we think, and can that lead to teams and regressions and all that sort of stuff, reducing roles or reducing production? We're going to do that across those 4 days. And I know that I say, Harry, what do you think of that? And I gave the most vague description of it because I haven't fully figured it out myself. But that's the idea, where we're going to do like a 30-team across different shows, looking at all 30 teams, bunch of different advanced numbers, and how that might be something that we can just twist or even just give our brains a little bit of a tickle to remember that something might happen weirdly there. Like I said, there are 16 teams that do not play until Friday. And there are 4 teams that finish their week on Thursday. Now, I did say earlier on that if you wanted to get any sort of stream advantage, the only way to really do it is you can get someone that plays or either the Knicks, the Monday, Wednesday, or someone that plays Friday, Sunday. Not really a back-to-back, not really this huge advantage, but that is, you can get 2 games in 3 days from a bunch of teams. But Detroit, Miami, Sacramento, and Toronto, they are done on Thursday. It is also worth mentioning that if the Knicks and the Bucks lose on Wednesday, then their week is over on Wednesday. If the Knicks and the Bucks, they both have to lose on Wednesday, then they are done for the week. They will not play again this week. If that happens, that's why I can't tell you if that will happen, because guess what? I don't know. What about back-to-backs? Are there any? Nope. None at all. So any resting situations like that don't exist. What about 3 games in 4 nights, Josh? No, that doesn't exist either. What about a 4-game in 6-night period? A 5-game in 8? No, none of this exists. That's why there's no scheduling advantage here for any team really at all. None of that stuff is a thing. And that's it. This is why this... Okay, I'll say it again, and I'll continue to say it. The week is weird. The week has very low volume of games. We adjust to it. We get used to it. We take some breathers. Save some ads for the end of the week if you want. But again, you can just stream every day if you want, if you've got the ability to. And if you are in Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, remember the 40-game limit applies to a 14-day period. Yes. We come back, we'll look at some injury updates for the week, and then we'll be out of here. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle all of that juicy NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and you get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything that you need to place live bets on the NFL, and it's all in one place. You don't need to worry about trying to find your live stats somewhere else. You don't need to worry about tracking the play-by-play on a NORAD-type screen. It's all there on your app. Shout out to NORAD. You could just open up, look at the live odds, look at the play-by-play, look at the stats, and get ready to place those bets. And when you place your first $5 bet and you win that first $5 bet, you'll get $150 in bonus bets thanks to FanDuel. So go to FanDuel.com right now and never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. All right, so let's have a look at some injury update scenarios. We'll get more information of this, of course, during the week. But these are guys that I do not expect to be taking the court during this week. We'll start in New Orleans. I'm pretty sure we're not seeing Zion Williamson this week. But most other players there, Jordan Hawkins might be back, maybe not. Jose Alvarado, but doesn't really matter for most fantasy leagues. Most players are back in New Orleans. Zach Edey and Vince Williams, not sure we're going to be... very certain we're not going to be seeing them in Memphis. So your Brandon Clarks and Jay Huffs and Santi Aldamas, Marcus Smart, all of that value continues to be up. I don't think we're seeing Emmanuel Quickly in Toronto for this week. We might not see Bruce Brown, but he could be back, and it looks like Kelly Olynyk's returning too. But Quickly will still be out, and that does give that small boost to Abaji, but not enough really with other players returning. Chet's definitely out. LaMelo Ball is probably out, but there is a chance that he returns. But I'm going to assume that LaMelo is out. I'm going to comfortably assume that Kawhi Leonard is out and Paolo Banchero is out, so just status quo for those teams. Donovan Clingan will likely not be back for the Blazers. Mitchell Robinson, weirdly, yesterday there was an injury report, a couple of injury reports that came out for the Knicks that did not have Mitchell Robinson on them. It was seemingly obviously an error because then they put him back on one of the later injury reports, so just keep an eye on that, but I don't think he's available. The 2 Pacers guys, Shepard and Neesmith, aren't going to be there as well. And then I don't think we're going to have Cam Thomas. I don't think we're going to have Patrick Williams. Don't think we're going to have Max Strus, although that's possible. And I also don't think we're going to have Malcolm Brogdon, who did hurt his hamstring, although they could change their mind on that, and that might have been just a fake. Who knows? But I'm expecting no Brogdon, but it is possible that he plays. It is possible. That one's not official. There's a bunch of guys that we just don't know about. Jordan Clarkson's been out for like 2 weeks or so with a foot injury, and his absence, you would think, would consistently boost Colin Sexton, but not true. Some days it's John Juzang, some days it's Svi Mykhailiuk, some days it is Sexton, some days it's Collier. That Jazz Blazers game yesterday gave us weird lines that tell us absolutely nothing. Like just one of the weirdest games, no marketing, the Jazz win by 40. Juzang drops 20 points, Mykhailiuk starts, Sexton plays 22 minutes. Like it tells us nothing. As for marketing, he was a late scratch again. Do you want me to continue to say this? I still get questions about this, and I know not everyone who follows me or listens to every show, so I'm going to try and say it as much as possible. So I had someone ask me about a trade where they would receive Kawhi and Joel Embiid. So, bro, thanks for following for the first time and tuning in for the first time ever, but I'm never trading for those players this season. I'm not doing it at all under any circumstance. I'm just within reason, but I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. And the other question that I have is, that I'll continue to say is, Larry Markkanen's not playing in March and April. He's not going to be playing. So anytime I can get a top 50 player for Markkanen, it's why I did not touch him in any head-to-head league. if I can get a top 50 player, he's out of here. See you later. Bye. And he's already missing games now. In Charlotte, BDNR Nick Richards hurt his ankle last game. Returned to action, of course, and now he's out again. Of course he is. As is every other big man on that team outside of the legend Mark Williams. So I don't know if Richards is returning, but again, I will continue to bang this drum. I know it is very exciting to look at someone like Richards, a 27-year-old career backup who's had some good games as a start of this season, and go, well, maybe it's a real competition between him and Mark Williams. I don't believe it's anywhere close to a competition, like at all. So Williams is going to take that job back, and Richards is going to go back to being a waiver wire player. It is the Omer Yurtseven effect. This happens all the time, and I think it's going to be the same thing with Goga Bitadze, to be honest. But we'll see. Richards is out today. Maybe he's back next week, but I am certain you will not be rostering Richards long term. Miles Bridges maybe at some point come back, my guy. I don't know. Haven't heard anything there. Najee Marshall should be returning. Scoot Henderson dealing with his quad issue, which has been a long time as well. John Isaac allegedly had a cramp in the Magic's last game, and then out of nowhere, hamstring, missed the game, of course. Just a cramp, though. Just a cramp. Obviously a cramp. So I don't know if Isaac's going to be available. It smells like Joel Embiid is maybe returning, but do you want me to put any faith in that? I don't think I can, but maybe he's back this week. Tamani Kamara left the last game with a foot injury, and they fell apart completely. If Kamara is out, and you don't get Scoot back, that does help like Denny Avdia be possibly and likely able to move back into that starting lineup. I think long-term Denny is not a 12-team guy, but Kamara's absence would help. Rob Williams maybe is back from the concussion. I don't know. And I would add him if he returns. Nurkic and Durant could be returning this week. The Plumlee-Iguodaro mix has been frustrating, same as the Allen and O'Neal scenario with Durant, and it's possibly both of those are over this week if those guys return. I don't really know anything about Kyle Kuzma and his rib injury. With him out, it's been a revolving door. Sometimes it's Jonas Valanciunas starting. Sometimes it's unbelievably Marvin Bagley. You would hope that it's Keyshawn George, but he's also injured. So there's no one that I really love to target in that spot. Austin Reeves, I'm also guessing returns this week. Tari Eason dealing with a concussion. That's iffy. They will play 2 games this week, the Rockets. And with him out, you saw big minutes from Jabari Smith, but you didn't see gigantic, big pickup type scenarios. Andy Wiggins left the last game with an ankle, which had already been bothering him. If Kuminga's an interesting one, will they claim they're going to start him, but remember, if there is a team that you want to disbelieve anything that the coach says regarding lineup and longevity, it's the Warriors. Oh yeah, we're going to see what Kuminga can do. We're going to bring Draymond off the ground. Bro, you have tried this with Kuminga as a starter 5 times, and Steve Kerr hates it every single time. Whatever foreseeable future you want to throw out there, it is not going to last. And that is not even me saying Kuminga is going to be good or bad. It means that Kerr is going to change his mind. Or someone's going to get hurt or something. So there's no solidity. That none of that exists with those lineups. Wemby's missed the last 2. I fully expect that Wembanyama's available to play this week. But even that, you thought it might be Zach Collins, and then it was Jeremy Sohan in one game, and then it was Collins the next game, and then he got ejected. Then it was 26 minutes of Goldfinger. So, yeah, I still think that going with Collins and Bassey in stream games when Wemby's out is the right move, but it's not foolproof. And then Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns both actually appeared on the injury report for the Knicks after they played 1 million minutes in a game. Well, that's not true. Brunson didn't in that game against the Hornets. If they are out, and remember the Knicks are the only possible team to play 3 games this week. They might not, but they're the only team that can do it. That is why we are banging on about Juice McBride. And Juice McBride has got enough to be a back-end 12-team guy anyway, and now he's got a schedule advantage, and he might have no Jalen Brunson. Just go and add Juice McBride. In fact, I might just chuck Juice McBride up as the old cover athlete on this episode. And that, legends, is a Week 8 preview. Calendar Week 8. Not Matchup 8, but it might be Matchup 8, but it might not be Matchup 8 because I don't know. I don't know what your league is. It is a low-volume week. Every day is streamable. There are no... depending on where you look, and when you look at the numbers that I told you are correct, but you will go and look in certain spots and you will not see games scheduled on the Saturday, and you will not see the games all scheduled on Sunday. That is because the games... we don't know who is playing. But trust me, there are 2 games on Saturday, and there are either 6 or 7 on Sunday. We just don't know the makeup of any of the Saturday games or some of the Sunday games. We know Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is set. No changes. That is the guaranteed schedule. Saturday will guaranteed be 2 games. We just don't know who. Sunday will be 6 or 7, and we know some of the games, and the others we don't. The easy thing for me to tell you is the games that happen on Sunday that you don't know about are the teams that lose on Tuesday and the teams that lose on Wednesday playing each other. That's what happens on Sunday, unless it's the Knicks and the Bucks, and then that game's on Monday. Clear? I know it doesn't sound clear, but it is not as complicated as you think it is this week. It sounds complicated, but it is not. There are no high volume days. There are no changes to the schedule that need to be made. The only difference is 6 or 7 on Sunday, and we don't know who plays Saturday. That is it. You don't need to target NBA Cup teams. Guys, we are done. And if you think that I did a good job, I do too. And if you think that you did a good job, I do as well. Be positive. Be uplifting. Don't be hard on yourselves. Be critical. Be seeking improvement, but don't be hard on yourselves. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.